Hello, Pastor Stewart here with another midweek Bible study video. We continue our Advent journey as we go through December, and we arrive here in the third week of Advent as we get ready for Christmas to celebrate the birth of Christ. Each week we are taking a different theme of Advent and are reading some verses from the larger Christmas story, as well as a verse or two elsewhere in the New Testament that connect with that theme. So, for the third week of Advent, last Sunday here at the church, we lit the candle of joy. Last Sunday, I said that this year we need that joy reminder and that candle's light more than ever. And as far as the four themes of Advent, hope, peace, joy, and love, I wonder if this year joy might be the hardest one for us to really feel. So we need it this year especially. And today, midweek this week, here it is kind of cold and drizzly raining. And with 2020 being what it has been, joy might be hard to rustle up. So we're going to talk about that tonight, talk about where it comes from and how we can get it. First, let's talk about what joy really is. And to do that, we have to distinguish between joy and happiness because they are two different things. Now, sometimes they can look the same on the outside. A person with a lot of joy and a lot of happiness, on the outside, both might be really smiling, really laughing, yay, just in a really good mood. So it might be hard to distinguish how much joy and or happiness a person might have, but it's the inside that's different, and that's where the key is. Happiness is tied to the circumstances of our life that we experience, and happiness can go up and down depending on what kind of day we're having. Like if you are having a really good day, you hear some good news, you get a promotion, you win something, you're just happy and, oh, that's great news. Oh, I'm so happy. Your birthday or something like that. You get a present. Oh, super happy. But if you get stuck in traffic or you hit every red light or you lose your keys or your car breaks down or you need, a root canal, unhappy, super unhappy. And everybody has those kinds of times. Like we can all have good, happy days, hard, annoying, unhappy days. Happiness is connected to our circumstances in life, but joy is not tied to our circumstances. So it does not come and go so easily based on if we're having a good day or a bad day. Joy is deeper than that because joy is holy. Joy comes from our connection to the deep presence and spirit of God in the world and in our lives. So that means that we can have joy even when days are bad and life gets hard, like coronavirus, pandemic, bad days, lots of hard days, lots of bad news, lots of sad news. But we can still have joy even underneath that because joy is deeper. It's deeper than the outer comings and goings of the day. So even in the saddest, most unhappiest of times, there can still be joy if you have it and you know how to connect with it. I think of like a person on their deathbed, and I've seen many people in this situation where they will still smile with such deep warmth to their spouse, and their spouse will return that smile with a deep love and warmth. And it's because they're smiling out of the deep, long joy of their life and their love together, even though the present is very sad and very hard. And the next few days and weeks will be sad and hard. Joy outlasts passing hardness and sadness. there's deep joy, even in the midst of sadness. So as we go on our Advent journey together, we get the opportunity to do like a joy assessment of our lives. How much joy do we have had, and how can we get some more? So let's read about where it comes from during Christmas. I'm going to read from Luke chapter 2, verses 6 through 12. While Mary and Joseph were there in Bethlehem, the time came for their baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths, like swaddling clothes, and placed him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." So think about that situation. What's going on there? Just like the facts of the case, the circumstances, right? Like the outer situation. First off, we have a couple who's had to travel even when the wife is like 9 months pregnant. We assume close to her due date. That's not ideal. They've had to give birth to their baby in a stable. A manger would have been like a trough. So they had to put their baby in like an animal trough. There was no room for them in the inn to stay. So they had to stay in like a stable or a barn or something. That's definitely not ideal. Definitely bad circumstances. The swaddling clothes, the cloths that Mary used would have been like what poor families would have used to just wrap up their baby, so it didn't wiggle. It wouldn't have been, like the nice little baby wraps that we use today. Like, when we had our kids, we planned like, this is what our baby will wear when we take him home, and it might have like a little head of like a little animal thing, and it's got little covers for their fingers so they don't scratch themselves. It's like a little onesie. It's like they're like a little glow worm or something, like all wrapped up like a little bundle. This isn't that. This is just strips of cloth that they had on hand, and they just wrapped them up together. So not as cute and fun as couples like to celebrate today. Also, the people who heard the news and who came, the shepherds, they were at the bottom, the lowest rung of society. Back then, in first century, their culture in Israel, shepherds were poor, they were dirty, smelly, unkempt, unwelcome, untidy, kind of, like pushed out, not really included. No one would have wanted to hang out with them. Those are the people. Those are the people who hear the news first. So think of all those facts, all those circumstances on the outside. None of those would have been worth celebrating by all intents and purposes. And yet the angel says, this is good news of what? Of great joy. And in the original Greek that this is translated from, the phrase good news, that's the same word as gospel. It's the same Greek word that we sometimes use and translate as gospel. So that's the gospel. It's a gospel of great joy. And this is it. This is the gospel. This is the good news. And there's great joy. Even though, how can that be? That doesn't really make sense based on the outer circumstances. Let's think about it from the shepherd's perspective, and their lot in life and what they have to endure, and when they see other people who have everything and who get to experience everything, who can afford lavish homes and lifestyles, and here they are having to sleep out on the ground with animals. So think how amazed they would have been to get this news. First, angels, wow. And then second, these angels are saying a Savior, a Messiah has been born, and we get to hear about it, and we can go find him and go worship him. That's really neat. Us shepherds, are you sure? That's incredible. It would have been amazing for them to hear this news. And then, of course, we've read the rest of the story. They go to the manger where Jesus is. They worship Jesus, and then they leave just singing and rejoicing based on what they've experienced. Now, after that night, all this incredible stuff, did their jobs as shepherds change or get any easier? No. They still had to sleep outside on the ground with the animals. After this night, did they make any more money at their jobs and afford nice houses and live lavish lifestyles? No. After this night, were they as shepherds considered better in society? Were they looked up and honored and valued for their vocation? No. They were still looked down on. They were still poor. So nothing about their circumstances changed, except their whole lives were. That is the joy. It is life-changing from the inside out. They were probably never the same after this night, even if they had the same job as a shepherd the rest of their life, and they maybe lived in the same house or hut, had the same family, friends. All the circumstances outside might have looked, kind of less than, but their lives would have been changed forever, for eternity, from the inside out, because of this night, because of the joy. Joy is not about outer circumstances. It comes from inside. Let's turn to John chapter 14, verse 11, to read a verse that Jesus spoke when he was an adult, about the joy that he brings, that he wants to give to people. So this is John 15:11. And again, this is when he's talking to his disciples at the Last Supper, the night before he is arrested and killed. Jesus says, "I have told you these things so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." Okay, so the things Jesus said to his disciples then and now, us, were intended to fill us up with joy. Yes, whose joy? It says his joy. I've told you these things so that my joy in you may be in you, and that then your joy may be complete. So it's the joy of Christ from God in us, which fills us up and it completes us. Okay, let's think about this. Have you ever known someone who it seemed like the circumstances of their life were all great and good and perfect? They had everything that a person would need or want in life. They had a good family, good job, made a lot of money, super nice house, always dressed well. Their car was never broke down. They never missed a bill payment. Everything just looked great on the outside, but yet they always seemed kind of unfulfilled, or they never really seemed to enjoy life. Like there was something just kind of missing deep inside. Well, that's where the joy, happiness, truth comes in. If you don't have joy on the inside, then no matter how good your circumstances are in life on the outside, then you'll still be empty, and your life will just kind of go up and down depending on your good or bad days, like we talked about. If you hit all the red lights and get in traffic, then you're way down. If you get I got new shoes last week and it was a great day, yay, great day, yeah. But then, if you're empty on the inside, then your life will probably just kind of stay low. Like even the good things might be okay, but there's still that kind of emptiness inside you, and you're really susceptible to the bad things that happen. So what if we think about the joy in us as like a gas tank? Jesus said that he wants his holy joy to be in us so that our joy may be complete. So that's the ideals for our joy tank, like our reservoir, to be complete, to be topped off, to be full. Okay, so that's the goal, to have a full, complete joy tank. But, we can also have maybe a half complete, like an incomplete, half full joy tank. Or, you know, maybe at times in your life or other people, they've just been empty. They've just like, there's nothing in their tank. They are joyless people. It's nothing. And depending on how much joy you have in your tank, that will dictate um, how how badly and how hard life will affect you. Like if you don't have any joy in your tank and you're just empty, just bottomed out, then even when you are surrounded by good things and good things happen to you, and even just the simple pleasures in life like family and friends and laughter, you just got nothing. It's not doing anything for you. You're still just unmoved. If there's no joy in your tank, then you're just empty all the time. If you're, kind of half full, maybe, almost complete, somewhat incomplete, then, when good things happen, you're really excited. When bad things happen, you're just really down. And that's when you'll kind of just start going up and down and up and down. So you can be really happy, but you can also just be down in the depths. Now, if you let Jesus fill you up with his joy and your joy tank is complete, like he said, then no matter what happens, maybe you've known people like this. They almost have like, they're kind of like a monk almost. Like they just have like this kind of constant, steady peacefulness that even if bad things happen, they might say, well, that stuff happens, but that's okay. We'll get through it. And they can still smile even in like really annoying days or hard times, and they just have that deep, solid joy that isn't moved up and down depending on the waves of life. So that's our goal. That's the good news that the angel was talking about, is that that's possible for us. That's possible for you and me. We don't have to be a monk. We don't have to move to a monastery, take a vow of silence, make cheese all day or something. We can have that in our real lives. That's what Jesus came to give us. The angel said so. And then when Jesus grew up, he said so. He said, that's what I want to give you, is to have such a complete joy that no matter what the outside circumstances are around us, sometimes they'll be bad, sometimes they'll be good. Having that complete joy will let us go through and experience them and not be shaken to the core. So even on days that you're sad, lonely, even extreme loss, there'll be death and pain for everyone that we experience in life. That's part of life, but you can still be steady if your joy is complete. So we will experience those kinds of things in those times, but they won't defeat us. They won't break us. They won't shatter us so much that we just are so broken we can't even live or move or do anything. Having genuine, complete joy helps us to endure times like that of just awful challenge and great unhappiness. So it's that joy that will sustain you. That's the good news, that it's possible. That was what the angel was talking about on that first Christmas night, and it's still possible today. So work on that this week. I think this coronavirus time is a good opportunity for us to practice that. Be mindful of your joy gas tank, your joy reservoir. Have you let God make your joy complete? Are you about half full, or are you running on empty? So examine your heart, your deep inner joy level, and be mindful that what happens around you during the day, those are outside. Those are the outer circumstances, and they don't have to affect your inner joy that God gives you on the inside. That's my prayer for you this week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.